What's going on, everybody? Super Saiyan Paul here, back at it again. Today we got a really interesting Dragon Ball Super video that I can't wait to share with you all. But before we jump into the video today, guys, I want you guys to smash that like button, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications. This way you guys can stay up to date on all the latest information and discussions that we go over in the Dragon Ball Super realm. So this one's going to mainly be a theory slash discussion, and it's a very interesting one here because with the future of the Dragon Ball series, the franchise in general, not only Dragon Ball Super, one of the best decisions that they made was to create Ultra Instinct, and here's why. Even if it wasn't originally planned, the best thing for them to do was to create Ultra Instinct, because what we knew in Dragon Ball Super as its entirety as a whole was that it was mainly the Goku and Vegeta show up until the Tournament of Power ending, where it kind of it created a lot more side characters that got a lot more spotlight. Like, nobody would have ever expected Android 17 to have gotten the role that he got there, and then Frieza, he picked up a big role that we weren't really expecting until that moment he was resurrected, where we were like, yo, this guy just came back for a huge purpose in the show, and a lot of other things trying to bring some other characters into relevancy, but for the most part, it was majority Goku and Vegeta all the way, and it was until the very end where they really had some challenges into trying to create the other characters in a very meaningful way where they actually had an impact on anything. The Tournament of Power was the best opportunity for them to get that, but they still messed up with some of them because they had so many characters in this one Tournament of Power where I honestly didn't believe that they should have had the Tournament of Power so early on. I believe that they should have had universe versus universe up until the Tournament of Power was the final thing in the show later on. Not so early on should they have introduced so many characters, because what they did was that they introduced all these other characters. They had to build up these characters, and not only that, make them memorable. And I think out of the most memorable characters for me, I think the top three would probably be Jiren, Toppo, and Caulifla, the fusion, because even though they were great characters, and I mean in terms of their power and things of this nature, I wish I could get more from them because they had a lot of development, they had some screen time, and they had a lot of hype around them. And mainly Caulifla, when she fused, that was one of the greatest things during the tournament because we got to see Ultra Instinct be the thing that took her out, and that's what created such a huge highlight for her, and that was bouncing Goku's character off of them. With the introduction of Ultra Instinct, one thing that we know that this is not a Saiyan exclusive transformation, meaning that other characters that aren't necessarily Saiyans can actually tap into this ability. Now, we know that Saiyans basically have no limit. Their power levels are going to constantly increase and increase, because as we've seen here in the Tournament of Power, especially with Caulifla, you saw how far she came in such a small amount of time. In 48 minutes, they became some of the strongest beings in the universes, and that was crazy to see that you needed Ultra Instinct Omen Goku just to eliminate her. So with that in mind and how fast they're powering up, Ultra Instinct not being a Saiyan exclusive transformation could also mean that someone else that's not a Saiyan could ascend into this form. It's not likely for that many people to ascend to it because it's a level that gods can barely even obtain, but when you put that into account, someone else on the Z Fighter squad or someone else out there could potentially become an Ultra Instinct character. Frieza's race could become it. The Namekians' races could become it. Anybody else out there could potentially have one fighter that can ascend into this universal transcendent state of Ultra Instinct. And now what we saw in the Tournament of Power as well is if you look at the Namekian warriors from the other universe, the Universe 6, they absorbed everyone or majority of their population just to get a bunch of that energy. And I always imagined, that was a big what if. What if Piccolo put his hands on everyone's titty on planet Namek and absorbed all of them? How powerful would he be? And they showed he would have been immensely powerful. And at that tier, let's say you absorb both of these universes, I mean, ironically, he would be at the power level, I would guess, at maybe in the gods, because, dude, that's extreme power right there. If you had a bunch of Piccolos fuse with one another, it's a lot of power. Don't underestimate him. And then other characters such as Gohan, I mean, he hasn't had a transformation in over 23 years, and we know that they wasted his opportunity here in the tournament. But let's say he had the chance to go Ultra Instinct or anything. This is the perfect chance to revive anybody's opportunity in terms of characterization and giving them the spotlight, because there could always be that one underdog warrior that ends up getting this transformation. And I mean, honestly, in my humble opinion, I think Vegeta's next in line to get it, because that's just the thing with Goku and Vegeta always getting this ability. And if it's not Ultra Instinct, I think Vegeta will get something above and beyond what Goku has right now, because that's where he's at right now. He's actually stronger than Goku in his Super Saiyan Blue evolution versus Goku Super Saiyan Rage. That's basically a fact at this point, but he's even stated that he's going to get something further and beyond Goku, and he did that before at the end of the Battle of Gods arc, where he went off to go train with Whis on his own. So what I'm asking you guys is, what race do you guys see getting the next Ultra Instinct form if it does happen, and who do you guys see getting it? Because I mean, if you think about it, I think like the one super big underdog that could end up getting this, and this is a very, very weird one to like put out there because I don't think anyone's really speculating on this one, I would say it could be Oob, and here's why. Because Oob is such like a huge little protege in the end of Dragon Ball Z. What people don't understand is that Dragon Ball GT still hasn't been retconned, and there's a reason for that. Even though it wasn't made by Akira Toriyama, they're still keeping continuity throughout that series. They haven't completely overwritten it, and if they really still want things to fit, that's what they're still trying to do here, and unless they go over that timeline, it's still in that timeline series, kind of, in a way. And I've been preaching this for years, like, yo, why aren't they overwriting it? Because it's still in the continuity of the series, regardless if it's not made by Akira Toriyama or not. It's still, like, lined up in the timeline. Now, when you put that into like perspective here, what if Oob is just that powerful where he could ascend into Ultra Instinct, and that would make sense with the entire continuity of this bridging into GT. Now, do I want them to continue into GT? No, I don't like GT. I only liked a few of the characters and some small moments in GT they did right, but other than that, as a series, I hated it because it got my hopes up as a kid and they completely squandered it. But if it fit like with the power levels and the scaling and everything of Oob and Goku at the time, it does still kind of make sense. Goku in GT, his base form is Super Saiyan 3, if you guys didn't already know that. So with him being the prodigy, him having maybe Ultra Instinct in his pool of moves, that would make sense. I mean, a Namekian would be good to see it. Frieza was also a good candidate, and I also hope that Jiren would get it at some point too, but at this point in time, after seeing the series and how his character played out, no thank you, save it for someone else. Or even Yamoshi down the line, because Yamoshi, I mean, even if he's not introduced in this movie, this legendary Saiyan, hopefully he has it, because one of the greatest fights that they haven't shown us yet, and it's something that we all know that we want, is going to be Ultra Instinct versus Ultra Instinct, and I'm hoping they save that for a very momentous occasion, because Ultra Instinct versus one another, with this miraculous ability, it's going to be really cool to see how they play against one another, because we know that Ultra Instinct isn't completely undefeatable. We know that it can be hit, because Jiren, who wasn't even in Mastered Ultra Instinct, was able to hit Ultra Instinct Goku in his perfected state, so to speak, because it wasn't mastered if Goku can't tap back into it. But do you guys hope that we'll see Ultra Instinct again soon? We know that Goku can't tap into it, and since he can't tap into it, he has to use it very sparingly. Not him necessarily, but the animators and the story designers, because we don't want the form to burn out just like that. Like what happened with the original Super Saiyan transformation, eventually, like, it started out with being very difficult to tap into, and then all of a sudden, it literally was reduced to a child's plaything. Goten and Trunks proved this, and not only that, when Goku and all of them are starting to turn into Super Saiyans later on in that Android saga, / Cell saga, that was where it was like just ease. It was just like you would just tap into it just like that. Now, if there's forms beyond Ultra Instinct, there probably should be, because I mean that's the Dragon Ball formula. But for right now, this is the end all be all of all forms. And I mean, if they're counting the continuity of GT, then I don't even really want to jump into how this is gonna work and all of that. But Ultra Instinct being reduced to a child's plaything, they don't necessarily want to do that right now because it's still fresh, it's still hot, and us waiting on that return would be great. And them having it return against another Ultra Instinct character, that would bring a really, really big highlight to the series, because having two superpowered beings fighting at this max potential will really, really bring a spark to the show that really is needed, because there's going to be a new show or series if they don't continue to offer Dragon Ball Super, and what better way to launch it off with that? The finalized form from Dragon Ball Super in the new show, launching it off with that and trying to master this new one and creating this hype around this form and someone else that may have it, and maybe a few other fighters. Like I said, there's this new tier of fighters between where Jiren is at and where the Grand Priest is at in the top 5, so them fitting in here is where probably other mastered Ultra Instinct / perfected Ultra Instinct beings should lie, and this is where they're all gonna have to fight and one another and like clash down with one another. So Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think there will be other users of Mastered Ultra Instinct / Perfected Ultra Instinct? Do you see Oob getting it? Do you see Vegeta getting it? Do you see a Namekian or Frieza race getting it? It's going to be really cool to see when this eventually shows up. Will Yamoshi get it? Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think we'll see Mastered Ultra Instinct versus Mastered Ultra Instinct? And who do you guys think it will be and why? I can't wait to see all of your comments down below. Smash the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care. Peace.